how do you create a compelling story? We've talked about this before. Anyone chime in really quick bites. How do you create a compelling story?
Create a mystery right off the bat.
I love them. Yeah, we absolutely need mystery. So we're going to play a lot more with mystery today, creating a mystery. But how do you get excited about a mystery? You need characters that are
sympathetic. That's in my notes somewhere. Let's see.
Just guess even. You don't have to find your notes.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Let's say it this way. Characters we want to root for.
Yeah,
Characters
okay.
we want to see succeed. Characters we want to see get out of that troubled situation. Like, let's take the interview I had earlier today. She got out of an abusive marriage and she wanted to get out earlier, but her life was threatened. He actually said, I'm going to kill you and I'll kill your family. I'll kill your sisters.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So she becomes a character because of her positive personality. She becomes a character you want to root for. And she's a real person. Now, stories can be real based on your story, based on someone else's story. And as we did in Animal Fables the other day, it could be a made-up story. So we want to create characters that you want to root for. So find a way. Now, do we want to root for the perfect character?
No.
No. What? Tell us about that. Tell more about that. What do we want in our character? Not something around perfect. We don't want them to be perfect because then are they relatable when they're perfect?
No.
No. So what do we want with our characters?
Charisma, maybe a little badness. I think the Billions. I love the characters in Billions. I mean, the so-called bad guy. I mean, everybody loves him, you know.
I love that.
Patricia just hit on something big. What you don't want your evil character to be totally unrelatable. I mean, then people just, you watch these good movies and stories, they make some humanity into the nemesis or the protagonist, bringing some humanity in there.
They did a good job in the movie Joker, where it almost made him lovable and your heart broke for what he went through. So you understood why he was a villain, almost to the point of going, I get it, but not fully excusing it. So he remains distant from you a little bit.
Yeah, so we got to find ways to connect to these characters. I love that example. And if you can find ways where we can connect to you, and here's the best way, and Tiamo said it before. So what does Tiamo teach when it comes to creating or you just being yourself on stage? What does he say? And what do other people say?
Just be yourself.
Yes, and be, I'm going Brene Brown, coming from her angle.
Vulnerable.
Yes, vulnerable. Because if we have this masks and armor on that people wear every day, and if we show up looking perfect on stage, who can relate to us?
Yeah.
No one. But if we lift the masks and we share our weaknesses, there's parts in the audience and go, oh my gosh, how can they share their weaknesses on stage? I would never say that.
Mm.
So part of the plus part of Speaker Skills Plus is getting you comfortable to share your weaknesses and realize they're not really weaknesses.
Mm.
And it's like the Japanese bowl story. Who knows that story about the Japanese bowls and that? If Bobby was here, he'd know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll tell the short story of my version of it. A potter brought this bowl to this Japanese shop and wanted them to buy his bowl. And they wouldn't buy it, and he left in a huff, and he actually knocked the bowl off the thing, and it crashed, and he just left it there. And then when he came back the next time, the bowl was all together, but it had gold where all the cracks were. And people were looking at it as such a beautiful bowl that had the gold line that connected the bowl together. It's when we allow people to see the cracks in us, the insecurities, the fears, the pain, the longing, that makes it powerful. And one of the keys to a great character is you have to want something. And something's got to be in your way to make it interesting. What else?
Humorous.
Humorous. Who doesn't love to laugh, even in difficult situations? So how do we bring humor to it?
Sometimes a little self-deprecation on the character's part.
Mm-hmm. Making fun of yourself, going on a surprise, making it a surprise. It's a interesting twist, a surprising twist, an exaggeration. Vanessa.
Telling some kind of joke, or jokifying what your story or something is, you know, finding the light in it. When we did our comedy, when I contributed that comedy, those comedy principles, is just doing something humorous, not to make fun of the people that you're talking about, but bringing humor to the way you're talking about it.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the inner dialogue too. And Patricia can use this a lot, but we all can use it. You're getting ready, and this is for Pamela too. You're getting ready for a date and you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, oh, you are ready, big guy. And then you look at, and then you start to go, you're not ready at all. What is that? What is going on there? And just find ways to play with it. Go, no, stop talking to yourself negatively now. Just focus. You are ready for this. And then, no, you're not. Stop talking to me. You know, whatever it is, you play with it. And so we're all here. We all like Ti Amo. What does Ti Amo do that you like most?
Be himself all the time.
Just, yeah, blurt it out. What specifically does he do?
He evolves out loud.
I like that. What else?
He's silly.
Stories.
Pamela's hitting on it. What my favorite thing is.
The silliness.
And I would use the P word there.
P word.
What?
Play.
Playful. Playful.
Yeah. Playful. And look what I did in my speaking. So I use keys with you guys, what I do all the time when I'm working with corporate groups. I leave blanks empty for my audience to question, guess, and play, to be playful. Is someone who's being playful and present attractive in their energy?
So attractive.
So attractive. Does it create a charisma in them?
Yes.
So think about all the things that stand in your way, and you might write it down right now. What stands in my way of being more playful on stage?
Another P word.
Yes.
Another P word. Perfectionism.
Yes.
You know, it's crazy that you would say that, because I put together my 5 dating challenge into one video, and I looked at it, and there's a lot of playfulness in it that I took out. And now it seems a little flat. So I'm thinking about scrapping it all together.
Yeah, I would actually, people will well, this was an amazing speaker that trained. He was he became a professional athlete. So he knew what training did. He knew how to get really good at something. And I've said that to the speakers I work with before. You know, professional athletes, professional singers, musicians, how often do they practice their craft?
All the time.
All the time. Every single day. Sometimes they take a day off, you know, to rest and get better, but all the time. Sometimes 2-3 training sessions a day. So if you want to get great, it's the time you put into it. But what I'm getting at there is I don't know. Yeah, I know. he So that, again, me being human and comfortable with myself forgetting things. And one of the best things I've learned about that is you forget something and you're on a train of thought, ask your audience, what was I talking about again? And they will love you for that. Now, there'll be maybe one person in the room that goes, geez, get to the point. Why does he keep forgetting stuff? There'll be one person that's upset with you, but the rest of your audience will love you when you got, what was I talking about again? Okay, thank you.
I won't have any problem with that.
Yeah, so he drilled the skills so much on his talk, and what he realized, and he was selling something, he closed more when he made a mistake, and his mistakes were rare. And for him, do you know what he started to do?
Make them on purpose.
Say that one at a time again. Pamela first, then Annie.
Make them on purpose.
He did. He made mistakes on purpose.
That too.
So the audience could actually relate more to him.
Yeah.
So let's jump into this. We've talked a little bit about that. Let's go in. So we love a playful speaker. We love a speaker that's having fun. We love someone that's more alive. Let's jump into creating a mystery. And what I say mystery dipped in emotion is bring some emotion to your mystery if you can. You don't have to. First, let's create a mystery. Just any mystery.
Someone told me a package was arriving today. I have no idea what it is. I didn't order anything.
That's good. Keep going.
There was a knock at the door,
Dang it.
and I opened it, but there was nobody there. That's strange. So I closed the door again, and I went into another room, and I heard the knocking again. I said, what's going on here? Is it at the back door? Check there, no. Open the front door, nobody's there. What is going on here?
I like it. Can you guys hear me? Am I talking too loud because I have both earbuds in? Okay.
You're talking very soft.
Oh, yeah. I will talk louder then. He looked up and oh my gosh, coming out of the sky. You want to know, don't you? So that's, when you've created a good mystery is when your audience wants to know what's next. When your audience needs to know what's next. A few times I've not closed the loop on a mystery and I love it. Someone comes up to me afterwards and he goes, you got to finish that story. Or I love it even more when they raise their hand. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Chris, what happened? You hit the ice house with your Jeep and then you stopped the story there. How did you get off the ice? What happened to the Jeep? You want to know what happened next.
I've got one.
Yeah.
I walked into her kitchen and the most amazing smell filled my nose. I couldn't resist. I picked up the lid on this giant pot and I couldn't believe what was in it.
Ooh.
Yeah, we want to know what's in it. I was feeling so good when I walked into the house, and then I looked and I saw, and I just screamed, no!
I walked into the house and I saw her laying on the couch. This time it was different. She looked completely different. Tears were running down the sides of her face. And I knew something really terrible had happened.
Yeah, so when you bring in, if you see someone else, if you bring any other character into your mystery, someone else having an emotion, and you don't fully explain it, people want to know why. I picked up the phone, it was my daughter calling, and I could hear her voice cracking and almost falling apart. And fear started to fill me because I didn't yet know what was wrong.
I walked into the house and everything was strewn all over the place. I took one look at his face. I knew I'd never seen him this angry before. I wondered what I'd done.
I like it, Eddie. Amina, do you have a mystery for us?
I'm still thinking about it.
That's all right. So keep thinking it. One of the simple ways to do a mystery, and actually, why don't we go around quick for the people who have done a lot of mysteries. So this group has done a lot of mysteries, and I'm still getting much better at it, and we'll get better at it. What are the keys to creating mysteries as we go around? Pamela, why don't you share the keys for you?
Making a statement a general statement that, like, I have a confession.
Well, here's the big ones. I have a confession. People want to know what the confession is.
Okay.
I have a secret. You want to ramp it up even a little more from that. I have a secret that I haven't told anyone. And I think Tiamo's even done it from stage. I have a secret and I haven't told anyone this. And what if he said, I haven't told anyone this, even my wife? When you do that, people are going, oh, what's he going to share now? Yeah. I have a secret. I have a confession. Those are all powerful. Here's one simply too. I don't know if I should tell you this. It's really it's really embarrassing. And you may look at me in a different light after I share it. So Patricia, what is the keys for you creating mysteries?
Keeping it short and punchy. In other words, don't go on and on about it, but just keeping it short and get people's interest early on.
I think that's a great technique when we start, but eventually I want us to create so many mysteries, a mystery that leads into a mystery that opens a door. You know, how many of you are feeling fear and anger out there? I'm feeling fear and anger as well, but not for the reason you think. So going, what is the reason? What is the one? What's he think we think? Does he really know what we think? And then two, what is his real reason for feeling it? So yes, short and punchy, but then eventually, you know, they talk about in the brain wired for story. It's creating a loop, and before you close that loop, opening another loop. And creating another loop. And you create something of a loop in the beginning if you do this. As we talked earlier, your protagonist wants this. Your hero of their story wants this object right here, we'll call it. And she's over here. As long as she doesn't have it yet, there's tension in the story. That loop is still open. So the closer, going backwards, more tension. Total failure, no coming up from failure. Those all create a loop in that keeps people's attention. Annie, what for you, creating a mystery?
I really feel like I'm not good at it yet, and I can't think of anything. So,
but you have.
Create a mystery.
Right, but you have, and what I'll say to that is this: you've created many mysteries, Annie.
You have.
Who is better at it now than when we started?
Well,
everybody.
But I still can't do the craft yet. I just go, oh, okay, here it is. That's what happens to me. I just go, oh, here it is.
What's the mantra that I have for you guys?
99 times or something.
99 times is one of them. Be willing to fail. Yes.
Be fearlessly failing. Be
bad.
Be bad before you can be good.
Be bad so you can be good. Be bad again so you can be great.
So for me, that's the secret of creating a mystery. I just keep being bad.
Absolutely. Look, and if you throw enough against the wall, you'll finally get it. And for me, that's advice for me is, Chris, be bad, especially around accents. Is because I can't get this. I can't even hear the difference between those two. I can't produce the sound. It's be bad so I can be great at it. So more mystery. I opened the book to that page in the middle, and it's like the book was speaking to me. And then I read the line, and it's like a light bulb went off. I haven't told you what the line was yet, but who wants to know what that line was that I read? Yeah. So keep going. Keep creating the mysteries. Vanessa, we want to hear a mystery from you.
A mystery. Okay. I'm not good at these either, Annie. I get a little shy about doing it.
Yet. You're going to be amazing.
Yet. The bell rang again and again and again.
Look, even that works.
I'm drawing a blank.
No, but even that works. So look, I'll piggyback on that.
I had like a visual in my head. I had a visual in my head of like walking into a hotel and you're ringing the bell and the woman that's standing there normally there isn't there, but I could see it, but I was having a hard time translating that into like a story.
Well, you don't have to do the full story. I rang the bell and I rang the bell and I rang the bell, and yet no one came. It's like the hotel was completely empty. And I started to get this cold shiver as I looked around.
Okay.
And then someone touched my shoulder from behind. And I spun around and looked up, and there was
Mm-hmm.
Even this, you know,
Okay.
someone ring. You got something on, Vanessa?
I was just thinking, no, I'm listening. I'm thinking like the bell rang and rang and rang. Maybelle is normally there at noon, but she wasn't today. Where did she go?
That opening sounds like a book starting. So think about how great books hook you in. And like piggyback on what Vanessa just said, I walked into the store to see Maybelle, and she's here every noon. And I rang the bell and still no Maybelle. I've done this for the last 10 years, and Maybelle always came. Now, Maybelle could be a cat. Maybelle could be a dog. Maybelle could be the wonderful lady at the local coffee shop. Maybelle could be a cow that didn't come into the barn. Maybelle could be
I like that.
all those
She is my
things.
VA. She's my VA right now.
Right.
I woke on the beautiful morning of my daughter's wedding with a dreadful feeling of foreboding. I wondered what this day would bring.
Sure. You know, I woke up with a shiver, and it was hot. I didn't know why I was shivering. And I looked around, and then I saw I'll give you a real one. I heard scratching. I was ready to go to sleep late at night, 2 a.m. in the morning. Stayed up way too late. And as I shut my eyes, heard the scratching on the wood and scratching. And I go, oh no, there's an animal in the closet. So I put on gloves. I went downstairs and put on gloves. I put on a hat. I put on my clothes. I got a racket in my hand, and I opened the closet. And nothing happened. So I reached into the closet with the racket. Nothing happened. And then the sound seemed to come from above the closet. And so I stood up on this chair so I could see above the closet. And I could hear it again, and I tapped at the wall. Nothing. And then it seemed to come from over my head. And I was looking up and going, is there a bat or is there a mouse going to come out of this hole in the ceiling? And so then nothing happened. And I tried to go back to sleep, and still the scratch. You can hear the end of the story later if you want.
I woke up to the sound of swimming in my pool. It sounded like 2 or 3 people were actually swimming in my pool. And then all of a sudden I heard this animal-like sound, like squeaking or squealing, and it frightened me. But I was paralyzed. I couldn't get up and look out the window. I just didn't want to see what it was.
Yeah, I was walking Sophie, and I rounded the corner, and all of a sudden I heard men screaming at each other. I couldn't make out exactly what they're saying. And I took another hesitant step closer around the bend, and I heard them kind of this drunken, slurring, screaming, I hate you. This anger in their voice. And at that point I stopped. And Sophie started to head down that road, and I said, don't go. And I said, turn around, circle back.
At 6 o'clock in the morning, my phone rang, and it was my mother. She said, Anne, I want you to prepare for a shock.
Were you prepared? I love it. Patricia, give us a mystery.
Well, here's a real one that happened last night, actually, Chris. We have something in common here.
I love it.
I opened the kitty door. I opened the door to the kitty porch, and all of a sudden, both of my cats tore it to the porch, and there was obviously an animal on the other side of the kitty door trying to get in. And all I could do was to pull the cats out so I could take care of it. But I was afraid to open the door because I didn't know what was on the other side of that kitty door. So as it turned out, whatever the sound was went away and the cats were fine, but I kept the door closed so the cats were in the house. And then I went to bed and I heard that door continually trying to be open. Flip, flip, flip. And I knew that there was some animal trying to get in there, but I said, well, I better check. So I opened the door, both my cats were sleeping in the house, and I took a flashlight and I opened the door and I put the flashlight right up against the screen. And you're not gonna believe what I saw.
Now, who wants to know what Patricia saw?
Tell us, Patricia, tell us.
Tell us. When we say tell us, you know you've done a good job.
I couldn't really tell whether it was a possum or another cat.
Yeah.
It was either a possum or another cat.
Okay. So anyone else have a mystery right now? Otherwise, I'll give you the rest of the version of mine.
Every day,
Pamela.
every day I went to the mailbox, I was waiting for that letter. Today, I just had a feeling. As I opened the mailbox, there it was. The letter, I couldn't wait to open it, but I wanted to do it in my house. So as I walked back to my house, the letter seemed to be opening up by itself. And it fell out on the ground. And I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
I love that. My hands almost seem to be moving on their own. Whatever. So I'll give you the rest of my mystery. So I went back to bed and still that scratch, scratch, scratch. And I couldn't get to sleep. So I put my clothes back on, put the hat back on, got the glove, got a flashlight, and I went outside to look at the roof. And as I going outside to the roof, the rain wasn't coming yet, but the wind was just blowing and the trees were just waving back and forth in the dark. And this was at 2:30 in the morning. As dark was waving back and forth, and I heard a noise in the woods, and I flashed my flashlight out into the woods.
What is that noise?
What was that? You know, is there a bear following me? So I went around the house and shined the flashlight, which was barely enough to get to the roof. I could see leaves from a tree touching the roof over and over again. Okay, let's jump into senses. And I think one of the easiest ways to describe senses and pick what you want, either go for a walk in a park or the woods or somewhere you love and describe that walk with all the different senses, your smell, what you hear, what you see, what you feel, like the breeze on your face, or something you've eaten.
I couldn't wait to get to the ocean yesterday. Oh, I just couldn't wait. So I got all my gear together and I went down to this beach that's like 3 minutes from my house. And I have to tell you, it was the most exquisite feeling just to lay out my blanket and lie down. And I always kind of make a little dent in the sand for my butt, so I'm really supported. And I lay down, I spread out in the sunshine, and almost, I wish I were naked. I'd love to be naked, but no, couldn't. But I would lay there and I would feel such peace well over me. And what I would do, because I would be far away from other people, is I would just bellow out a feeling that came from my gut and just yell it into the wind, into the sea, and I could feel all the stress just draining away from my body. The ocean is my nature place, and my favorite place to be anywhere in the world is on a beach and a beautiful sunny day, completely relaxed in the sand.
I love it. And I want you to add at the very end, the things you said, my favorite thing about it, that with my butt scoop in the sand. Because that'll add the laughter to it. People who liked when Patricia talked about scooping a little sand up for her butt to grind. Just that little human quirk. So think about that and maybe write that for the note takers. Your quirks, other people's quirks, people find funny, interesting, or can relate to in some way. And so play with your quirks. And that's why I call back to that butt quirk. I mean, that butt scoop out of the sand, that you could be really comfortable and you could let it go.
I do it every time I go, so It is quirk, but it's fun.
So use it. Remember that, Patricia.
Yeah.
I loved it. The callback to it makes it even more powerful. So please keep doing that. Pamela, give us a walk.
We were driving to the beach, and as we got closer, I had to open the windows because the smell of the ocean was starting to penetrate through the car. It was just amazing. It was salt, it was water, it was sand, it was sun. It was a lovely mixture that you could smell and feel. As we got closer, I got more and more excited. We parked the car and we were getting out, and the smell of the salt water just hit us in our face. We could feel the breeze, and there was still some marine layer. So it was almost as if condensation hit our face and a little bit of salt in our eyes. And as we went closer, I could feel the sand between my toes starting to erupt. And then the warmth of the sand on the bottom of our feet. It was like heaven. It was like medicine for the soul. And the waves, watching the waves crash, I couldn't wait to get in that salt water and heal myself.
Excellent. Vanessa, I know you have to go soon, so let's hear a sense walk from you.
So just what I experience when I'm walking?
Yeah, an experience, but describe it with all your senses. You could be walking with Oliver in a park or in the woods, or
Okay.
down to the beach, as other people have shared.
Okay, I have to pull up a visual first. Okay. So, okay. And do you want, is it specifics about where I am or just what I'm experiencing?
You can add specifics if you want to, but this is just to know the power of bringing senses into our stories.
Okay. So I walked through the edible farm in San Francisco with my son. It was a pretty typical overcast, cool day with a little mist in the air. We were bundled up, hats, jackets. I had gloves just in case. And to the left of the garden were these herbs, and the most prominent herb was this chocolate mint. That when you smelled it, or when you touched it, it was both feathery and soft. It smelled just like it sounds, chocolate and mint. Next to it was oregano. Oh, I'm lost. I get tripped up on this stuff.
Don't worry. Right there. Who liked the senses she shared so far?
I did.
I loved it. And here's one of the lines that really wasn't senses, but I like this line you just put in, which is kind of cool. I had gloves just in case. It says a little bit about your character. And so your characters, just give them little quirks like that. I had gloves just in case.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's go. Who else? Annie, take us on a sense walk.
I opened the door in the early morning and it smelled like summer in Michigan. And I was pulled out the door and I walked down the street in my new neighborhood in California, savoring all the sights and smells, all the familiar flowers in people's yards. Oh, there are my favorite roses. And I stopped to smell them as long as there's nobody around, because I don't want to make people nervous about me putting my nose too close to their roses. I never touch my nose to the rose, but it fills me with a sense of well-being to smell these. They're the most beautiful roses. They're white tinged with a deep red, and they're called Double Delight. And it's because they're so beautiful and they smell so good. They're my favorite roses. Then I walk on and there's the little fig tree that somebody planted. The leaves are there's so many leaves now I can't even see the figs that I could see 2 weeks ago. I counted them, there were 9 figs. Now I can't even see them. They're just blending in with the leaves. And I keep walking, and I smell the rosemary and the lavender along the sidewalk on people's lawns. And the rosemary makes me feel alive and awake, and my brain feels like it's kicking into gear.
I love that line. Let's in on that end. So I love the line, brain kicking into gear. You know,
Oh,
things you can play with like that. You know, that what the sense made you do. You know, I smelled the flower and it reminded me of whenever. Amina.
Okay. Can I talk about my walk? It's a sunny day in London, and we don't get many days like this in Britain. It's often very wet and wintry. But I took a chance this day to go out for a walk. I was thinking about heading to Regent's Park, which is where I normally love to go, to the Rose Garden, which was in bloom. But I decided to turn right through the lovely open park full of greenery next to where I live, past the church and the graveyard, walking upwards. I didn't know where I was going. I was just led by my intuition. And then I thought, I'm going to stay here, a place where there was a lovely river and some lovely benches, and I was going to read my book. But something said, just keep walking, just keep walking. And I kept walking and walking, and the path led to a nice little canal, which was lined with lots of houseboats of different colors. It's lovely to see people's barbecue on top of the houseboats. Some people had little gardens on top. And then this lovely couple asked me to take their photos, so I obliged, and it was lovely to take their photo on the backdrop of this canal. And I kept walking and walking, just seeing what life would show me. I saw lots of cyclists on their cycles, bicycles, and then a very nice surprise, a community garden. I love gardening. It's got lovely plants and herbs, and people were out there doing their gardening. I kept walking, and little did I realize an hour was gone. But at the end of it, I didn't really want to turn back, so I kept walking and walking, and came to the end of a bridge where I got over the bridge, and I found that it took me to yet another county. Did some shopping and took the bus back home.
Nice. And
Yeah.
You might not notice, but you created a couple mysteries in there, or the start of a couple mysteries. Like one of my favorites actually was, and I didn't know where was going, but I was led by my intuition. And you want to, and you can create an ominous feel to that or an exciting feel to that, depending on what you add to that. And then the inner voice said, "Don't stop here.
Yeah.
Keep going." And you don't know where you're going. I know, Vanessa, you got to go soon. How much longer are you able to stick with us, or do you need to go any second?
Like 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
I gotta run. Yeah.
Patricia wanted to share something while you're here.
Yes. I'll stay. I can, if you can do that, I will be here. I just have a coaching call and I need to get ready. Okay. So I definitely want to.
I'll do a fast one, and then we'll go to Patricia sharing what she wanted to share. So it was a beautiful day in Minnesota. As I opened the door to walk out of the house, I could feel the oxygen in the air, and I felt alive. And as I turned the corner, the breeze hit my face. And I love that breeze, like the approaching storm. And I walked with a happy pup by my feet as we walked down to the lake. And I put my feet in the sand, and I could feel the sand come up between my toes. And then I put my feet in the cold water, and they felt exhilarating on my feet and body. And I was no longer worried about the mosquitoes because the air was filled with dragons. It's like I had my own personal army of dragonflies that were following me. And at one point, one hit my chest as it trapped a mosquito against my chest and took off. And I love my dragons. I would like to go through life, at least in mosquito-infested areas, with my own team or tribe of dragonflies flying with me.
Love it.
That's wonderful.
Thank
That's
you.
a cute picture.
Oh, it's I love the dragonflies. When they come out in the sky, when the sky is filled with dragonflies, it lights me up. Patricia, what would you like to share?
I'd like to share a little of my speech.
Okay.
And I've been playing with standing or sitting because this is all on Zoom, but I think that standing is going to be. Okay, here. Okay. Let me see. Okay.
All right.
I have a confession to make. I'm a perfectionist. Well, actually, if I'm going to make a perfect statement, I have to tell you the truth. I'm a perfectionist in recovery. Like right now, I want to present the perfect speech, perfect diction, perfect intonation, perfect inflection, perfect pacing, perfect gestures, flawless makeup, and of course, the perfect outfit. Go on, but I think you get the point, yeah? No, I think I will go on. You know, I have this strange relationship with mirrors. Ever since I was a little girl, I have not been able to walk by a mirror without looking at myself. You know, there's a mirror in my bedroom, and I'm not going to look. I'm not going to look. I'm just going to walk right by. I'm not going to look. But then I look. Is my makeup okay? Is my hair okay? You know, I used to think it was vanity, but now I really know that it's insecurity and self-image. Especially since I grew up thinking I was ugly. So just a quick question here. How many of you think you're a perfectionist or know someone who's a perfectionist? Can I see a show of hands here? Yeah, there's quite a few. And you know, I have my own theory about being a perfectionist. I think that as perfectionists wear this mask, thinking that everything is together, their life is together, everything is okay. But behind the mask, they have feelings of insecurity and unworthiness, not feeling good enough. And my theory goes to knowing that we have these subconscious programs that run us throughout our lives and tell us that we aren't good enough and that we'll never be good enough. And in my case, my program's bordered on self-loathing. But I've discovered that being a perfectionist is actually an opportunity to grow and to learn. I've learned a lot about my failures. Failures are an opportunity for us to grow. Because guess what? We're not meant to be perfect in this human experience. This human experience is not perfect.
Let's pause there so you can get some feedback.
Okay.
There's so much I liked about it. There's a few things I would change, but I'd like other people, especially maybe Vanessa, to go first, and she has to go soon, to give.
I was too close and I cut my head off, but I don't have my contacts in, so forgive me.
No,
you were good.
That was fine. That was fine. I love the lightheartedness in your voice. And I noticed the lightness in your body also that I really like. It made it really fun, and I can tell you're trying to bring more playfulness into it. And I think that's working for you. I would say too much movement on stage can be distracting.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the movement. I don't want you to stop moving. But just maybe tighten that in just a tiny bit. But again, I know you're playing with it and you're trying to feel in your body which is the right amount of movement. How do you feel doing it? So keep playing with it. And I would say even exaggerate it when you're practicing, just so you can find what feels good. But then you just, again, you just don't want it to be distracting. But
Right.
I love your tone. There's a couple of areas where your tone goes high, and I'd love to see it come down just a tiny bit. But again, that's all in your practice of being lighthearted and playful, which is like so yummy. I love watching you in that space.
You know what I forgot to do, which was fun? The perfect outfit, including my shoes.
Yes.
And I love that. And you could kind of kick them back a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting now, but when I'm standing, I can show my shoes, and I'm wearing my fuzzy black slippers, which
Exactly.
don't go with us. Yeah.
I think it's adorable. I really like the lightness that you're bringing to it. It's really good.
Thank you for being with us today. I know you got to run. Any final takes you'd give to the whole group, or what are you taking away to use in your speaking?
You know, I'm taking away just the practice. You know, I know I can be a little bit stubborn and not do some of the story stuff, but I recognized today that just keep practicing that story. And even though you may not even though your talk is not a mystery talk, I really see the value in getting good at that and getting better at those couple of exercises you did today. I'm like, oh, I actually do need those. So I would say just keep practicing and staying open, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you feel kind of silly. So I'll be doing it more.
Thank you for sharing that, and glad you were here today.
Thank you for hosting, Patricia. You are amazing, and I'm so excited that you're bringing some of this playfulness into your talk. It's a really powerful talk.
Thank you, darling. Thank you.
You're welcome. Of course.
Bye.
Bye, you guys.
All right. Who else has good feedback? Or Pamela? Yes.
Yeah. I definitely agree with the playfulness. I felt that coming from you, a lot less serious professionalism coming out. It was the playfulness, which is critical. Some of the gestures, I would just say, look at those, because some of them just were like this. When you talked about the mask, you went like this, like do the mask, somehow create a mask.
Yeah.
More intentional with the gestures when you're talking. I like the mirror thing. At first, you know, you came close looking in the mirror, you know, and then you moved back. And at first that was off-putting, but I think it engaged the audience because you're using them as a mirror in a sense. And then when you said self-loathing, like my instant reaction was, really? So I think I might encourage that you actually pause with that and call that out. Self-loathing. Yeah, you heard it right. I had self-loathing. Self-loathing, it was like huge for me, because that is so important. I mean, that's one of your big keys, is that self-loathing, because that can be called back to, right? So make sure that you don't overlook that. That's really, really powerful, because somebody might just go, she's just throwing out a word there, and I don't really believe it. How can this beautiful woman ever hate herself? But really call that out. But I loved it.
Okay, good.
Annie.
Okay, yeah, I agree with what Pamela said. That word, like, yes, that is really important. I mean, my whole thing is about, you know, forgiving yourself, and you can't if you're loathing yourself. And so many people have that and don't acknowledge it in themselves, or don't realize that, you know, somebody as together as you could ever have felt that way. So I agree with Pamela. That's a good pause and emphasis place. I really think you're doing great with your playfulness. It just gets better every time. And I can tell that you're really enjoying that and getting comfortable in it. So hooray. And I love, you know, that you're working on it standing up. It has some advantages, which you're taking advantage of, being able to stand up. I also agree with the, you know, not too many gestures. You know, keep looking at them, take out the ones that don't really serve a purpose, and save it for like the shoes and looking in the mirror. I love that you said, I'm not going to go there. Wait, yes, I am. and then you did the whole, then you got into specifics about, looking in the mirror and all that stuff. So I just think it's fantastic. You are just going to knock them dead. You're getting so comfortable in this speech. I love to see it.
Amina, is there anything you'd like to share? Okay. So I'll share what you're muted right now. So is that correct?
Yes, yeah, I said I agree with everybody. It's just about pausing more when she asks questions to get the audience to think about what she's saying. But the content is great. Yeah.
That's big on the pause. I'll give you a little too. And and I agree with a lot of what was said. Purposeful motions. I liked when you were doing from side to side. When you did one thing and it fit and another thing it fit. One, you stayed on that side. Now there's the power of threes. So you might think of what are the three most powerful things you can do in that. I did this, and then I did that, and then I did this. So it gets that little dancing in there. And you were light and energetic with that. I would leave out, especially early in the speech, the preachy part of it. I wouldn't tell them how to think and feel. I just show them versus via your story, in the funny in it, in the interaction in it, what's possible. And I'd ask you this: can a perfectionist ever be perfect?
No.
So that's the question you can grab onto right there. And then if someone says yes, is there always just that one thing out of place, the one thing missing, or the one thing that can be improved? And if you see that constantly, it's like you can't get past the mirror. And so I like this question too that you asked, and it got a little bit of a laugh, and I would even add another laugh to it. Can you, what was it? Is anyone out there a perfectionist or know a perfectionist? It kind of creates fun. And then the perfectionist in me wants to make sure everyone raises their hand. So does everyone have the capability to raise their hand? A third question that makes sure everyone is included, because you want to be perfect and you want to get every hand up in the air. That's a point you can use to play with and create humor.
Not clear what you mean. A third question to get everyone to raise their hand?
So you're playing with the audience now. Does the audience like to be played with in a positive way?
Yes, of course.
Yes. So I love that you asked, is anyone out there a perfectionist or know a perfectionist? That should get everyone, but it got people laughing, go, well, I'm not really a full-on perfectionist, but I do know a perfectionist. And the perfectionist in me wants to ask a third question so I can get all of you to raise your hand, which will get people to laugh right there, which is just whatever it is, find a third question. It's just a point. You don't have to do this. Is a point of being playful with your audience, and then tell the story.
How about the person who you noticed didn't raise their hand? Gee, what's your life like? I'd love to have a peek into your life. Something like that.
Well, if you know someone and you could play with them, ask them. So, what do I need to ask to get you to raise your hand?
That's great, Chris.
Because I need all my audience to have raised their hand. The perfectionist in me does.
That's great.
And
what do I need to ask you to get you to raise your hand?
Instead of talking about the shame, the insecurity, be the insecurity and shame. Show it in your story. Go, I couldn't leave. And it's true. I mean, I walked by a mirror and I could always find one thing wrong. And when I fixed that one thing, I would go into the story, like with William going down the hallway and fixing your makeup, but then you had to go back and whatever it is, make it funny like that. Keep going into that. And then you can wrap the lessons in the end in a way and go, here's what I learned for me. Here's how I was able, oh my gosh, a perfectionist felt like I was carrying around 500 pounds. And as I got rid of some of it and a little bit of it, it felt like I was getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And the perfectionist in me couldn't even laugh at myself. You might have noticed today I did a little bit of laughing at me. And so people can see your lightness. They can see the weight drop away in your story. And at the end, you can share, oh my gosh, so would you rather have someone tell you, I need you to do this, this, and this, versus going, and here's what worked for me, and here's what I think you should do too. Or just be it in the story. Go, feel that, let us feel your pain of the pain of a perfectionist and humor in that, but the pain. And at the end, be the one that's so much lighter in the story, and go, this is what and name your feelings. I feel freer. I feel freer to say things. I feel free to go up. I even let someone mess up my hair. And you could, as Amina said, you could do a big pause there, which a pause creates a mystery. I even let someone mess up my hair in public. And that pause and timing there.
That, Chris, and who is that?
I don't know. I was actually, and just so you know, I was afraid to do it because I know what a perfectionist you are.
I was afraid for you to do it.
So Pamela was even afraid for me.
What did you think it was going to do? Jab you with some hairspray in your face or something?
Something. I just had this fear start to run through me because I know I've never seen you with your hair out of place. So the permission you're giving. So laugh at things like that. So I even, and again, the pause creates a mystery. So I even let someone mess up my hair in public. And you can flirt it. Change your pace and speed, because changing your pace and speed make a difference.
Yeah, I like that. And then that's makes it like a confession. And what is it? Confessions of a perfectionist. So I even let someone mess up my hair in public.
And Annie hit at something big there that I'm going to trigger on. The title is Confessions of a Perfectionist. So you can use this actually as a tool to use over and over again. And you can pause in your speech and step into a point. And I got another confession for you. And you can go to your speech again and in the story, and then I go, oh, I got another confession for you. And make sure the confessions are interesting.
Yeah, I do that at the end about the ants, because I'm going to tell, I don't have time to tell the Deepak Chopra story, but I am going to tell the cop story tonight.
Okay. I love it. So keep playing with that. Let's do this. Is there anyone else want to share a piece of their material? And we'll give you a quicker feedback. Went along with Patricia because she asked, and that's a key to getting what you want.
Mess up my hair myself?
No, you don't need to, but if you get brave with an audience, you could go, if you want to see, part of me doesn't want to do this, but you gentlemen in the first row, I would give you permission to mess up my hair. No, I won't. I have a confession. I do not want you. Yeah, well, whatever, you can play with your audience if you wish. Or you can, like on Zoom, you could see, you can do it yourself and play with them. I will even show you. I will have my hair messed up on the Zoom call right now. No, I can't do it. and then play with it. Yes, I can. And then do whatever you want to do. Just play with that. And so your Toastmasters can be an experiment of what you want to do. Anyone else want to share a little bit of their material? Otherwise, we'll jump to.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. It's great.
Let's actually go around this. What are you getting so far, and what do you want more of? What do you want to play with?
Oh.
Anyone?
You mean in general on all these calls or today?
Today. And well, you could go in all the calls, what's your favorite? Then what's your favorite thing to do? What do you think will boost? Maybe that's a better way to ask it. Let's ask this. So in this call or other calls, what's your favorite thing to do? And what's the one thing we've done so far that you will think add the most benefit to your life, your speaking career?
I think just getting better at storytelling, and that's using a lot of the things that we're incorporating. Mystery, although I find it really difficult. Part of the reason, I show up and I go, oh, I'm gonna have to create a mystery, but then I do it because I know that I need to do it. And the other thing that I really want to work on is the senses, bringing those into my story.
Thank you for sharing that, Annie. And you will get better at mysteries, and you will get better at senses, just as I will. I mean, my goal is to get so much better than I currently am at both of those things, mysteries and senses. And when we bring those in, mystery, senses, plot, we get a character that people can fall in love with that has a mission, and there's obstacles in the way of that mission. If you get that recipe down, you will become eventually you will unconsciously be able to put it in almost any story, even without creating it ahead of time. Patricia.
And I show up on the calls because I know I'm going to be pulled out of my comfort zone, and that's how I'm learning.
And I give you big thumbs up, 2 thumbs up for keep showing up and keep pushing it. And again, what I said, be bad so you can be great. Be bad so you can be great. Be willing to be bad, even if the critical voices don't risk it. Be bad at it and just put it out there. And you will wonder what was bad today will look like in the rearview mirror. You will look at what is great today. It will look bad maybe in the future because you know how much further you can go. Patricia, and then Pamela.
The work with you really pushes me out of my comfort zone. I share that with Annie, and maybe all of us go there a little bit, but I've been a teacher, and I've been much more comfortable in my head teaching in a didactic way than actually being silly at times and being okay with just messing up and saying something totally stupid, like when we do 185 alligators slid into a bar. You know, you have no idea what you're going to say on the other side of that, but you figure out, you know, what the fuck, I'm going to say whatever comes to my mind. So I like the stretch that I get, and it moves me into a place that I know is in me, but I haven't really exercised it. And I know now more than any other time, since I've decided to become a professional speaker, that fun and humor and silliness and kind self-deprecation, not anything that's, you know, where you're being rude to yourself, you know, but kind of self-deprecation that will make people laugh and something that they could relate to. So for me, it's about developing a relatedness with my audience that goes beyond the information.
I think you said something big there. The great speakers develop a relatedness with their audience. And everyone here has that capacity to do that. And Patricia, I would hold that relatedness with your audience in your head like that. And our audience wants to be comfortable. It wants to have fun. It wants to be taken on a ride. It doesn't want to be preached at. It wants to learn something new, but not shoved in their face, but through story. That's how we're sitting around campfires, being stories about what was dangerous or what worked. That's the reason we're here. All right, Pamela.
So I promise I will write something for you, because I got that text from you, but I just didn't have time over the weekend, cleaning, laundry, all that stuff. So I will do that. And I love coming up with stuff really quickly. Today I was off because last night I did some comedy and I think I used it all up or something. It was really funny. Anyway, I felt like flat. Plus, I think it was a full moon last night, so I don't know why. And I'm sure you felt it, Chris. We were all a little hesitant and not as creative as normal. Maybe it's because Jackie wasn't here. I don't know. We didn't have time.
Where is our pillow, Jackie? I texted her 7 different times.
Retrograde, folks. Mercury in retrograde.
Maybe that's it. But normally I have no problem coming up with stuff, and I felt a little flat this morning. But I do love the prompts and all the ideas, and you get us started, Chris. So I think we did fine today, even though you
did fine. And here's what happens, and get at what you're talking about. You know, I've told this story multiple times. I'm playing golf with my dad, who's a really good golfer, and we're playing with 2 people that don't know us or him. He hits it on the green, but 20 feet beyond the hole, and they're going, "Yeah, great shot, great shot." And he's over there swearing to himself because he knew he wanted underneath the hole and closer. But once you get better, you can see what you could have done differently. The better you get, you can see these fine points that you couldn't even see before. Pamela, you're getting very good at creating mystery and all these different things. As we're all getting better. Annie's much better than she thinks she is too. But if we develop these skills at a higher level, you're going to maintain a mystery through a story, and you're going to have your audience. Like I wish Vanessa was still on. When Vanessa gets into a TV show, this is what happens to her. She starts leaning in, and you know when she's interested. She's just got this lean to her body. She needs to hear what happens next. And we want our audience to be leaning in to wonder what we have next and hold that. Amina, is there anything you would like to share so far from this, just one class you've experienced? Anything you're going to take away from it? What would you use, and what do you think would benefit you? You're still muted. Let me unmute yourself.
I just wanted to say I'm just so grateful to be on this call. I've learned a lot from everyone sharing the mystery, especially. I really enjoyed that. And I like the structure about having a character that is relatable, creating mystery, using the senses, and having the mission and the obstacle. So it's nice to have the structure. And I love that I got an opportunity to use the senses. I need to work more on the mystery. So thank you. I really enjoyed this first call. Thanks. And thanks to everyone. And thanks to Patricia for sharing her story.
Thanks for being here. And yeah, so the mystery, the structure, if we can master it, and I say if we can, but it's what I've talked about before. What's your commitment to do it? If you're committed to mastering a mystery, you can master a mystery like no other people out there. People aren't focused on this that I've seen. I've never been involved in a storytelling or speaker class where they said work on creating mysteries. Has anyone experienced that before? I've never seen it before. No. And it came to me, I asked myself, why am I hooked? Why does the series hooked where I got to watch the next episode and the next episode and the next episode? Why do I need to do that? It's because they've created a mystery. They've opened a loop. And I know it's a skill we can build and we can get great at it. What do I love when people share their senses in a certain way? Like, oh my gosh, especially baked bread. I think almost anyone can relate to that. You walk in a house and it fills your nose, freshly baked bread. And then you smell the butter on the bread, and you're pulled by your nose like that. What was it? Pepe Le Pew, the cartoon where he's just pulled by his nose to the place. It'd be pulled by your nose, and you can show it like that. You're just pulled forward by your nose. Mm-hmm. Humor, bringing humor into what you do. Any final thoughts, or there's a number of exercises I didn't get to today that I wanted to. I want more that be full emotions, being emotional, and what we talked about before, the pace, and your vocal variety being like the soundtrack of a movie. When in like Amina with On Your Walk, if you could bring in, and then I turned the corner and I looked up and it felt dark, and like there was this darkness, but it was light. It's beautiful outside, but I could feel this shadow approaching me. Something that gets you to the point where you go, oh, there's emotions moving in there. There's a darkness or a lightness. I could feel I was getting lighter and lighter, and I was about to reach for my goal. It was right in my grasp. And then I was snatched away. The opportunity. So what other games would you guys like to play next time?
Let's see. I would like to do more work with accents and more mystery, because I can never get enough practice with that. And 185, let's do some more of that too. That just
I love that. Patricia.
I love accents. Accents all the day long.
I love accents too. I love figuring and speaking in another voice now that I am nice to myself in here, because before I was very, very mean.
Chris, you have your own accent and it's lovely.
I know it is awesome. And I don't know what country or dialect it is from, but I can make it up and I can be okay doing bad accents.
You can make it from that country that Peter Sellers, that movie where, God, or the Marx Brothers. There was some country, I forget.
Patricia, what would you like to say?
Well, actually, we're talking about accents. I would love to be able to bring in an English accent, not English accent, Indian accent for my Deepak Chopra story, because, you know, I want to do it in a way that's not, someone said to me, well, when you're pretending to be something you're not, like through an accent, it's not kind of offensive to that particular nationality, but I don't think so.
So, look, some people can take offense to almost anything, and some things are offensive and we don't realize what it is. So it's good to have a safe place where you can practice and have a sounding board. And we can all go, you can do it, Patricia, and we can all go, whoa, I don't think you should do that in public, or wow, I think you should do that in public. So you can get a whoa or a wow. So you can test it out here. And yeah, I want to improve my accents too.
Yeah.
I think, you know, maybe, I don't remember how much you talk about what he actually said, but maybe just one big remark that he does and then bring in the Indian accent for that. You know,
Okay.
maybe
if you look at the best comedians, they figure out ways to do accents, and you don't need one for that. I would test on that particular one. That one may or may not work depending on what you do, but other accents for sure will work in other just character voices. Like I looked up and she said, Chris, what are you saying to me? I can't believe you just said that. And the more playful we can get and the more out of character, is he really thinking that? Why is he speaking about that? He just can't let this fear thing go. Why can't we just bury it? You know, playing a different character so you can go in that way is powerful. In saying that, actually, let's give Amina a taste of it's a difficult exercise first time, so you can just watch if you wish, Amina. If you get motivated, you can jump in. Let's do one round of 185s so we can play with an accent in it. And so what's walking into the bar, people?
hummingbirds flying into a.
So I'll give you the format of this, Amina. It's from improv, and the format is just simply 185 blank, in our example, hummingbirds walk into a bar, and the bartender says, whoa, we don't serve, or it says, we don't serve hummingbirds in this bar. And then the hummingbirds respond, and the idea is to create a pun. But our idea is with this, you can start it without even knowing what the answer is. And I actually want you to do that in this exercise. And even if it's bad, it's good that you did it, and you get to play with accents and characters. So Annie, I think you have one there. So why don't you start us off?
185 hummingbirds buzzed into the bar and hovered over the bar. And the bartender said, we don't serve hummingbirds in here. And the hummingbird said, and flew out.
I like that. I would love the emphasis on the Pamela.
185 hummingbirds come flittering into a bar, and the bartender quite abruptly says, oh, stop right there. We don't serve your kind at all. And the hummingbirds swiftly said, well, we will just tequila you with our wings.
Patricia.
185 hummingbirds flitted into a bar, and bartender was just taken aback at this huge horde of hummingbirds. And there they were, just right at his eye level. And he goes, hey, we don't serve hummingbirds in here, sorry. And they said, where are your flowers?
185 hummingbirds flutter into the bar. And the bartender says, whoa, hummingbirds. We don't serve hummingbirds in this bar. And the hummingbirds buzz up and say, ooh, you're no flower. And it flipped away. So that's basically the version of the game. And what it does is really push you out of your comfort zone. And what I've done for me is even start it without even knowing how I'm going to end it. You know, as a group, oftentimes people just sit in the sidelines and they go forward when they know it. What did you think of that particular game, Amina? And did you have an idea for hummingbirds, or were you glad just to watch?
I was glad to watch, but I can maybe try something.
Okay.
Yeah. 185 hummingbirds stormed into a bar, and the bartender was shocked. And he said, "Ah, what have we got here?" And then they said, "You don't have what we want anyway." And they just flew back out.
Very nice. And like the things I liked was stormed into the bar, because you wouldn't expect that from a hummingbird. They stormed into the bar. I liked the way the pauses in it that you do it. And just because the joke may not go perfectly, but notice what you do that people like. And so and now this is for all of us, be as relaxed enough to go, what worked when I did that? Because I've heard things on here, like even from Patricia, when she really owns it, when it doesn't really have an ending, but she was so being it that it works. So if you be the message, be the playfulness in it, amazing things can work. And I love what we do with Flitter, Buzz, Storm, all the different ways hummingbirds can fly, how the different ways they can come into a bar. Any other final hummingbird buzzing, playing? Pamela, do you have one there? I can see it's coming to you. Well, I'll start one without knowing where it's going. 185 hummingbirds hum into the bar, and the bartender is freaked out. Go, whoa, hummingbirds! Hey, outside's that way, and the hummingbirds just buzz right in front of his nose, and go, "We just need a sip, dude. We just need a sip of your sugar." And the bartender goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! You guys aren't very sweet, so no sugar for you."
Hey, Chris, I'd like to ask you a question, like after.
Yes.
I mean, if that's okay, it's about my speech for tonight.
Yeah.
And I've got to go, guys. I got to get the homework.
Yeah, let's wrap it up here. I'll come back for it in a second, Patricia. But thank you all for playing. Keep looking at your why, keep committing back to yourself, because I know this, everyone here, I've heard you speak in person, and everyone with the commitment to the play and working on your skills can be a speaker that people are wowed by, a speaker that people lean in and go, I want to hear what she's going to say next. And they're so excited by your stories and your message. So keep going out there and play, and your stories are valuable.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. You will receive my testimony.
Good to see you, Amina.
Are we doing Wednesday night, Wednesday at 4?
Wednesday at 4, I think, and then Thursday again at 9 a.m. Pacific time.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Amina.
Bye.
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 Love you and nice to meet you, Amina.